Hi there, Elevated Planet community. This is John Drew from Elevated Planet, and today I'm with Aiobhinn Murray. Hi there, Aiobhinn. How are you doing?
I'm brilliant. Thanks, John. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you. I am. And I've been looking forward to this conversation ever since we did our first In Conversation With episode going back a few months ago. I've been fascinated because I know that the reason we said that we were going to do this was because you started giving us some information there about the shadow aspects, which are important to know, albeit, as we've discussed, it's like an energy thing as well to be aware of how to handle that. Yeah. And again, it just shows how slick the operation is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it kind of even begins like at an educational level. The way we're taught, the way that we're programmed effectively to perpetrate the world that's being created around us and to believe that this is it, and this is the way it is. But, everything's logical, everything's, and they do encourage creativity because, I mean, to me, creativity is a door to some of this stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And that creativity, you'll often find that people who are spiritual practitioners are also quite creative as well, because as you say, like the two of them go hand in hand, because that creative flow is coming through the heart, it's coming through the sacral chakra, it's coming, it's coming through the soul out into the world. But they would only allow a certain amount of creativity. They would have allowed, the darker ones would have allowed a certain amount as long as it's controllable. What's happening now is we are becoming so strong, and we're going to continue becoming stronger over the next decade and several decades as we continue to ascend and evolve. And that'll get stronger and stronger and stronger until these other entities who latch on to humans, because these beings can't incarnate. The dark can't incarnate. It can only attach itself to an incarnated being from the light. So if you're incarnated like we are from the light. They can only infiltrate because they can't create. That's why they have to copy us.
Like a parasite kind of thing.
Exactly. Parasites, exactly. Living off the energy of others because they're so disconnected from their heart that they can't actually use it anymore. Or they're so disconnected from source, from the one. They can't access what we can access. We can access that creativity. We can access that force, that energy. They can only copy what we create.
Yes. These fourth dimensional beings, which I think, the lower astral, which, because from what I understand, and again, you'll be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but say like the astral has like 3 layers or something like that. And when you die, you cross over and you go to the upper astral, which is kind of like, the heaven kind of concept as we think of it. The lower astral is the one which is closest to us, right?
Yeah.
But they're still not visible to us under normal circumstances, correct?
Under normal circumstances, unless you have developed your third eye. So often a medium will see them, a healer will see them. A normal 3D person who is disconnected from their higher faculties or their higher abilities often won't see them. They might feel the energy, they might feel,
right.
but people who are working as spiritual practitioners will be able to tell that they're there or see that they're there. When I work with clients, I will often see parasitic attachments that will come in and wrap themselves around the energy centers of the individual, or I've seen them wrapping around organs as well, creating illness.
Right.
And I remember when I first started seeing these years ago, and I started taking them out, and they often look like a squid or an octopus with these long tentacles. And some of them, I actually removed one today from a person's lung. And this person is very, very, very unwell. But this person also had a lot of auric wounds, which means attachments and parasites can often come in through what's called auric wounds in the auric field. So in the biomagnetic field around us, and they will latch onto the trauma, our own trauma, and they will exacerbate that trauma, and they will either create an illness, or they'll create an addiction, or they'll create depression, or whatever it might be, because the energy from those lower frequencies feed the entity. So the one that I removed today, they look very small when they're in the body, and when you pull them out of the body, they get really, really big. This one, all I saw was a face. And it was only when I was being pulled back to the lungs, I was saying to myself, why do I keep getting pulled to the lungs? There isn't an issue with the lungs as far as I'm aware. And then towards the end, when I was scanning the aura, and I brought back to the lung again, and I saw the entity, and I saw the face of the entity, and I was like, okay, it's a parasite. So you need to pull that out. And once it was pulled out, it was really, really big. And then I sent that off to be dealt with by my spirit team that I work with. So this is the importance. This is how important it is to take care of our auric field, because people aren't educated about this. And that's another thing. We have been especially not educated, because these things are simple. I was saying to this woman today, I'm going to give you a technique for scanning your own aura, so you can see if anything happens going forward, and a couple of other techniques. Because once a person knows how to do it, it's very simple. Most things in the spiritual field are very simple. It's just that the information is withheld, because it empowers you.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And it's kind of like, you know, most people out there, again, mainstream type of thing, and I would have classified myself as this just 4 years ago. I could never make sense of the idea of chakras, of energy body. I'm a physical body. That's me, right? That was the way I looked at life. And there wasn't anything beyond that. There was no energy body. There was no auric body. There was no astral body. Yet it is. It's all part of me, as well as the team that works with me. And it's the guides and it's the higher self. And it is fantastic. And I love that. But I mean, that would have seemed like sheer fantasy 5 years ago to me. And what you say makes absolute sense, because this is how we're educated. This is part of the programming and conditioning. This is us. We need to be fearful. Death is the end. And therefore, all these horrible things can go wrong with us. And then we have doctors, we have hospitals. And yes, they absolutely do a fantastic job. There's far better natural remedies out there that don't do the damage that the pharmaceutical kind of products do. But it's all designed to keep us small, because, and I think this is a point that you made going back previously to me, was that you foresaw a time that, you know, I don't know whether it was another decade or something like that, that healers of your ilk would be on every street corner, because people by then would have realized that this is the truth, and that you can take control with practitioners to help, right, to guide the way, because everybody has a role out there in life. You're a healer. You're a healer and an educator, along with, you know, connection to our galactic friends as well. So you're very multifaceted there, Aiobhinn. But nevertheless, there's a lot of people out there who have healing abilities that come in a variety of methodologies, but don't fit with mainstream reality.
Exactly. There's one group, I don't know if I mentioned this before, when the COVID obsession, and I specifically call it an obsession, when the COVID obsession was going on, so many people decided to leave mainstream. So doctors, nurses, teachers, and various different people who were seeing what was going on, who, you know, were being threatened with job losses and being threatened to be X, Y, and Z is going to happen to you if you don't comply and give this thing to your patients and all of that. And they were seeing the damage it was doing then. I mean, obviously it's starting to come out in the mainstream now, but a lot of us knew what was going on back then because we could foresee it. You know, we knew this was going to happen. And we were called, you know, conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. So now we're seeing the likes of the PHA, the People's Health Alliance, and here in Northern Ireland, like a group that I'm in, Heal NI, that's Health, Education, Lifestyle and Agriculture, Northern Ireland. And these are people like myself who want to set up and who are setting up alternatives to the mainstream education, the mainstream medical model. And we have medical practitioners, doctors and nurses working alongside holistic practitioners like myself, you know, and charging either nothing or very little for their services, so people can get the best of what they need, and they don't have to be forced to do something they don't want to do, or they want to go down a very different route, a holistic route. They want to maybe go down the route of homeopathy. They want to try that, but that might be a bit outside of the price range, so now they're able to try it. So we're seeing these hubs being set up in different countries now, so that it's beginning at the roots, and we always said that it has to begin at roots level. It has to come from the people. It can't come from the top down anymore, because that's the way it's always come, and that's where the power and corruption, or power with corruption, comes from. So we're bringing it from the roots up this time, and it's wonderful to see it happening.
Yes, and that's a point which Dr. Stephen Greer has made as well on numerous occasions over in America. It's it is we the people that will make the changes, because once you've got government involvement, you've got distortion, you've got just the same old story.